Hello and welcome back to Sailing Prima BarcaVela podcast. Prima BarcaVela stands for First Sailboat in Italian. This is a podcast where Jennifer and myself, Francesco, are trying to meet as many sailors as possible where we can learn as many tips and tricks as possible before we get out there ourselves and live that lifestyle of cruising around the oceans. Today's chat is with Rob and AG, spelled like Heidi but pronounced AG. AG is from Brazil and Rob is from North Carolina but was in the military in the Navy for 20 years and retired, and they sailed around Hawaii and up to Alaska. This is sailing vessel Iwa. Please look them up, find them on Instagram. They have tons of great posts out there and a lot of great stories. You're really going to enjoy this one. Take notes because it's filled with great tips and tricks. So enjoy, and let's get to it.
Unmute and then start video.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? I have unmuted and I have started the video.
Yeah. Where are you calling from?
I am in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're in the upstate. I guess let's see. I don't know if you've ever heard of Lake Hartwell. It's quite a large lake in the upstate. It's kind of We are about equidistant from Atlanta to Charlotte. If you were to drive in that direction, right on the border, there's
Yeah.
there's these 5 lakes that are in a chain. It starts with Lake Jocassee, then it flows into Lake Kiwi, then Lake Hartwell, and it's got about 1,000 miles of shoreline. It's this huge lake. It's awesome. And then beyond that is Lake Russell, then Clark's Hill, and then that turns into the Savannah River and goes all the way down to Savannah, Georgia. Yeah. You guys froze on me. Is it me? It's probably me. You still there? I got to prioritize. Can you guys hear me? Oh, I hear you, I think.
Yeah, there we go. Are you? Yeah, we just switched over to our neighbor has Starlink. The Starlink with us. So we've been on Starlink for a while now, but they were just switching out breakers on the box, so he shut his Starlink down and it just came back up.
All right.
Yeah, I was saying my father is in Hickory, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, that's like the furniture capital of America, right?
That's what they say.
Everybody goes there for the furniture.
Yeah. Except I guess they ordered a couch and it took 6 months, but that's here and there.
You could just go next door, but no, we're gonna wait 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Oh man, so good. This is smooth now. It's going really well. I live out in the woods, and Jennifer and we have been like struggling with our internet, and we're really frustrated. So we're actually thinking of getting Starlink, even though we're really close to Metropolis, and right across the cove from where we live, they got fiber and 100 megabytes a second, but we struggle with 10 megabytes a second. So
Yeah.
anyway, I hope that it goes smoothly. I have to prioritize everything. I've shut everything else off, and I'm trying to dedicate this laptop to just the internet and giving it priority. So hopefully it goes all right.
Yeah.
But let's start off with just introductions. Let's let everybody listening know who you are, your sailing channel, kind of give us some information about you, especially like what kind of boat are you on, and give us some background, how long you've been doing it and all that stuff.
You want to start first? You start.
You can start.
Yeah, I'm Rob. Let's see. I retired Navy, so I did 20 years in the Navy. I was an air crewman, a P3 radar operator. So we did all anti-submarine warfare missions and things like that. So that kind of got me in to sailing in my early 20s, I would say. And I started sailing on Rhodes 19s, a free MWR military class. Okay. And
thank you very much for your service, by the way. I want to start off with
absolutely.
Thank you so
much. So that got me into, I think, my very first weekend of learning how to sail. I went out and bought a boat. I bought a little Capri 18 day sailor. And I started learning to sail in my mid-20s. I had the little Capri 18. And then from there, I moved up to an Erickson 25, and I owned a 1976 Erickson 25 for about 10 years. And I did coastal sailing with that and things like that in the Hawaiian Islands. So I did my whole 20 years of military service on Oahu.
Oh wow.
And deployed from there and stuff. But my home base was Oahu. So all my sailing I've done mostly was Hawaiian water sailing.
Wow. But you were born in Berlin, I think I heard.
I was born in Berlin. Yeah, I was born in West Berlin. My father was Army, so I was born in West Berlin. Spent time in Maryland. Lived in Georgia. Lived in Columbus, Georgia. Lived back in Maryland. Then joined the Navy when I was 18. And then shipped off from there, and then ended up in Hawaii for 19 of my 20 years. So I owned the Erickson for about 10 years, and that's where I kind of did a lot of my refit experience, I guess. I had to retab bulkheads. The mast came down on me at one point, ripped out chain plates. So I did a lot of like boating experience on that smaller boat. And then I didn't sail for close to 10 years. Didn't own a boat, didn't sail. I was paddling a lot, one-man canoe paddling, six-man canoe paddling, canoe surfing, canoe sailing, things like that. And then in 2021, we decided to start cruising. We decided to kind of cut out. And we bought a Beneteau 47.7. It is a 2000 build. It was one of the French built boats. It's the race rig. So we have a tall mast and we have a 9.2 draft for our keel. Our keel is 7.2, but our total draft is 9.2.
When you say, I read somewhere that you've got a fast boat. How fast is fast?
Fast for a monohull for a production boat, we're happy at 8.5 to 9.5 knots.
Nice, not bad.
Yeah, when she really digs in, we got a pretty big sail plan on her, and most of the time we sail with reduced sails, just because we're typically in Hawaii. We were dealing with 18 to 25 knot winds was the standard between the channels and things. But out here, I mean, we're in Southeast Alaska now. I think we raised the mainsail one time in Prince William Sound, and then like we maybe got a downwind jib sail. But other from that, we've been motoring most of the way.
But we have seen 10s and 11s on a surf.
Oh yeah. We'll surf. Like we'll surf if we catch a good surf. We'll surf at 10.5, 11. And that's like main and jib. With her and I, if it's blowing more than 5-7 knots, we're not going to put up a kite, because it's a big kite.
Yeah. What is it actually rated at?
Like what is the rating of the
hull speed? Yeah.
The whole speed I think is about 8.5, 9.5 knots. Okay. Whatever the formula is, I'm not sure.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, probably around 8.5 to 9.5.
Very cool.
So that was all that was kind of everything up to 21 when we bought. And then AG?
Well, I'm AG. That's Heidi pronounced in Portuguese. I'm from Brazil originally. Born and
what part of Brazil?
São Paulo.
I have family in São Paulo.
Oh, really? Yeah. Brazilians or
they're my uncle went there. My mom and my uncle were the only two that left Italy out of 9 children, and my uncle went to Brazil in São Paulo, and my mom came to America, and so that's the only of the uncles and aunts that left. And he was in Brazil, and he started his whole family. He's got a very large family there, but he's passed away now. Maybe it's 10 years now. But we've been trying to get there for a long time, and it's a hard place to get to because it's so far to go for us, and we want to go there for more than just a week because it's a wonderful place to go. So we've been making too many excuses, but I think I'm probably going to end up sailing there before I actually fly there.
That would be awesome. We've heard there's great sailing grounds there.
Yeah.
especially in Paraty, which is just north of the border there of São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro.
Mm,
Over there, and then in the south too, but in the summer.
yeah.
My dad's family is from Italy. He was second generation in Brazil, São Paulo.
Do you know what part
So,
of Italy? You know what part of Italy he's from?
I think he was from the north, Bonizo.
Okay.
Bonizo, yeah. Our last name is Benacci.
Oh, okay. Our family was from the south. My mom's maiden name is Napolitano, which is basically people from Naples,
Yeah.
which is
So
kind
we're
of like
not
saying Smith.
Anyways, well, and then eventually I moved to the US, and then I moved to I was in Utah for 13 years, and I moved to Hawaii in 2016. And that was to Maui first, and then to Oahu, where I met Rob. And then we were living together for a while before COVID hit, and we decided that we were going to watch some YouTube videos on the internet. And we actually didn't know that this whole, YouTube
universe existed,
was going on. And then we just stumbled upon Dallas and,
Yeah.
all of those channels. And we're
Yeah.
like, well, we can do this.
Yeah.
I stumbled across it in 2015, and I became hooked. And ever since then, I was trying to do everything I could to get into the lifestyle for sure. Same thing.
Yeah,
But you skipped a very important part. I remember hearing you were a snowboarder.
Say that again.
I said you skipped a very important part. I heard you were a snowboarder.
Yes. It took me a great while to actually, get courage, get courage and go up there. But the last 3 years, of living in Utah, I started working at the resort, at the Park City Mountain Resort, and I was living up there in Park City. So I took on snowboarding. I can't ski for some odd reason.
Yeah, she's a snowboarder. I'm the skier.
Yeah, I can't ski. I tried skiing. There's too many boards. I always grew up wakes. I was water skiing on the slalom ski. I was skateboarding. I was surfing before they started wakeboarding. Then I was wakeboarding. Then I can't ski. There's too many boards. Too many things to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys have been sailing. You met in Hawaii, and you've been sailing for several years now. Sounds like
since 21. Yeah, we bought. We kind of did the whole, sell everything you own, and it's a tough transition. It's hard to really really part with all your things, and it's a big psychological step.
Oh yeah.
But what we ended up doing is we were renting. We didn't have a boat. We didn't have a boat in mind. We sold everything. We got down to 4 bags, I think. 4 bags, and then we left about 4 Costco cases at a friend's house on Oahu. And we moved in with my parents in North Carolina. Oh, wow. And when we were in North Carolina, we knew we wanted a big boat. Like I already, AG was new to sailing. She didn't start sailing until 2020. And she started sailing on lasers and things like that to get her into it. And that was part of that whole YouTube. The first time we went to look at YouTube was because it was during the pandemic, and I was like, I want to teach you how to sail. And I was like, I bet YouTube has a video on how to sail. And that began the whole entire rabbit hole of the fact that I've wanted to cruise, I've wanted to circumnavigate ever since I started sailing, and I've always saved up for it, but I just kind of lost track of it for a while. So we moved in with my father. And we knew we wanted a big boat. We knew we wanted, because we want to circumnavigate with this boat. We want to comfortably live aboard this boat. And I have 2 daughters from a previous marriage, and I want them to have space to come cruise with us. Exactly. So we knew we were looking for a production boat. I knew I wanted either one of the French built, probably a European build over an American build production boat. I've always loved the look of Benettos. They've held good. You know, people have good things to say about them. The Najads are also good boats. But when we ended up looking, there was like a Beneteau and a Jeannot on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And that was like it within our budget. The brokerage that we ended up talking to in San Francisco, we went with a brokerage. It was Atomic Tuna was the brokerage, and we had a really awesome broker. She really worked with us. We looked at a boat in Marina Del Rey on the way out to Hickory, North Carolina. It was a 42-foot, well taken care of boat, but it had like bare bones. Like it had like an and there's certain things that you kind of have to have as a cruising boat. This was actually with the brokerage, and we talked to Gailey and said, "Hey, talk to us about that Beneteau that's sitting there." She did a full walkthrough on it. Opened up every compartment on FaceTime because we were all the way out in the East Coast. She was in San Francisco, and we wanted to buy on the West Coast because our whole entire kind of model that we had was to get back to Hawaii, to refit the boat some more, to work some more, and then we will leave from Hawaii to begin whatever we've decided to begin. And we ended up in Southeast Alaska right now.
Gotcha.
But we fell in love with the boat. We put an offer on the boat before we actually even saw the boat because we had a lot of trust in our broker. She knew what I was looking for. And then we
must have been a little bit scary experience though, kind of almost like sight unseen.
Oh, transferring the money was gut wrenching.
Oh no.
It was. I double checked every single digit on that because you have to we transferred it to a brokerage account, and then from the brokerage account it gets doled out. And I mean, once you get into like a bigger boat, like we did an offshore delivery because we weren't California state residents, and if we had taken possession of the boat and stayed in California, we would have had to pay an extra like $9,000 in taxes.
Wow, what does that mean? I've never heard that term before. What does that mean? You took an offshore delivery?
So pretty much we took delivery of the vessel because there is no federal taxing on vessels anymore. So it's down to a local whether or not transferring goods between two people, they're going to tax you on it. So our purchase price on Eva was $157.
Nice.
I think. So we would have paid a hefty sales tax on that if California said, "Hey, you're a resident now."
Right.
So pretty much what we had to do is we had to leave California within 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could have gone down to Mexico.
But so the brokerage worked with us getting a captain, which we paid for.
Yep.
And then this captain, actually picked us up and then went to the marina. We hopped on the boat, just the three of us. We had a newspaper and we went 3 miles out.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 miles to the buoys.
So the captain shows up as a agent of the seller.
Right.
Wow.
And they take us out and we go into international waters, or at least what they recognize as international waters. We do the sail. Yeah. Buying a boat, there's nothing, every boat purchase is always something weird. There's always something going on. Like people buy boats for a case of beer, you know what I mean? It's just a very different transaction. And we signed over the paperwork and we take like pictures with our paper and take the GPS lat long so that if California ever comes back and says, "No, you were inside," we can prove that we weren't.
That's amazing.
Right.
You took possession in international waters. I never thought that was something that people could do. That is amazing. What a great thing for people like us that don't know enough to know that. That's awesome. Thank you for that tip.
that was through our broker. We had to hire a lawyer to do, but it was cheaper than paying the taxes.
Right.
And the whole caveat is you have to leave.
Amazing.
So we purchased in March of 21. We spent a month getting the boat ready. Then we did, so this was a huge jump for me from a 25-foot Erickson that I sailed for 10 years to no sailing for 10 years to owning a close to a 48-foot boat. So there was a learning curve in for both of us. She was new to sailing. I have sailing experience. I had done a couple of passages as crew on larger boats and things like that. So we just kind of took it easy. Yeah. I remember the very first time we went to go fill up fuel, I think we had we backed out with a shore power cord attached. We forgot to disconnect shore power.
We're like, okay, we're ready. And then eventually like, oh, there's a line in the water. Oh no,
it's the shore power cord. So we had, we did our best to we're cautious people, but it was new to us, moving the boat around, things like that. We sailed in San Francisco Bay a couple of times. We took her out, anchored out for a night or two. And we spent 1 month in San Francisco, and then it was time to go. Yeah. So we left in February, I think, somewhere in February, and made our way down the California coast.
No, it was already March because we bought it March 12th of 21.
Oh, yeah, March, April.
And we spent a month in the marina. So.
Yeah. And then we went where we go? San Francisco, Half Moon Bay, Half Moon down to Santa Cruz. We mostly did day sails. And then we overnighted. Our first overnight was Monterey down to Coho Anchorage in Point Conception, around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Then did you like Half Moon Bay? I really love Half Moon Bay. How was your experience there?
I did. We were actually just talking last night because we're about to do it again. Because we're going to head down to Mexico after the winter. We're going to head southeast Alaska and then down to Mexico, Sea of Cortez. So we're going to do that leg again of San Francisco, and that will kind of complete our North Pacific High loop.
Yeah. Since we stopped so many places going down the first time, we were talking about it if we would stop at Half Moon Bay since we liked it, but we're not going to stop in too many places. We're just going to go direct to San Francisco.
Yeah, we're gonna stop in Astoria. Yeah, in the Columbia River. So we're gonna take her into the river, and then visit some family, and then probably San Francisco, and then probably like down to Catalina or the Channel Islands.
Yes. So as far as the receipts that Rob mentioned, it was the instructions of the brokerage to keep the receipts along the coast for if, in the foreseen future, if we needed to prove that we were moving along and that eventually we had receipts maybe for diesel or whatever outside of the state to prove, because we had to
move, we had to boogie. Yeah, so we made our way down to San Diego and then left on the Hawaii Passage from San Diego. So we did that one in 17 days.
So I was going to ask you, so 17 days, for those of us that aren't experienced on that side of the world, it took you 17 days to go from San Diego to Hawaii?
Yeah, to Big Island. We went San Diego to Big Island.
It was considered a fairly fast.
Yeah, it
wasn't super fast, but
we had a couple, like we were making some good time. And then we slowed down like halfway through, like the wind just died and we were doing like 3.5 knots. You're not in a rush. So
I've read. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think for our type of boat, 14 days would have been really fast.
Yeah.
But we did it 17.
Good job. So I've heard that sailing around the Hawaiian Islands can be a bit sketchy. Is it a rough area to sail around?
It's known to be difficult channel wind sailing.
Okay.
So we have and I love sailing in Hawaii. It's fantastic. We have about, from the North Pacific High pushing the trade winds, you have like 2,000 miles of wind and don't hit any land surface until they all have to funnel through the Hawaiian Island chain.
Oh, scary.
So between like Big Island and Haleakala, you have a 10,500 and 13,000 foot mountains, and all and just powers through the Ali Nui Haha.
Wow. And does that
all the way
combine with
maybe,
what does that combine with like katabatic winds coming off of the mountains? Like,
yeah, it's similar to katabatic winds on the backside of the slope as they come down the backside, but like the throat of the channels, you know, like the Hawaiian names of the channels are like Pailolo Channel, Ali Nui Haha, Kaiwi Channel. They all have like the Kaiwi is the channel of bones.
yeah.
The Pailolo Channel is the crazy fisherman, and it's all these different names because they scream. You'll typically hit 30 knots of wind in like 8 foot seas, close
Wow.
period. Good
Jeez, that is
sailing, fun sailing.
ripping.
At least it's warm.
Yeah.
At least it's warm.
And it's also beautiful.
If it were cold, it'd be pretty miserable, but it's warm.
So, I mean, like, are you dodging humpback whales during the whale soup season?
So we've actually hit a whale, or a whale hit us. Well, it was me. I was actually solo sailing from Kaneohe Bay to Lahaina. She was in Brazil visiting family, so I solo sailed, and I did it overnight, and sailed out of Kaneohe straight towards Molokai and Lanai and around the backside of Lanai. And the sun was coming up, and there was like dolphins off the bow, and it was just me, and I was super tired. And I had autopilot on, and we were just motoring up towards Lahaina because it's kind of in a wind shadow. And I see a spout like off to the port side, maybe like 300-400 yards. And I was all the way up on the bow. I come all the way back. I go back to neutral. And I'm just kind of slowly drifting. And then I saw the spout like 5 feet off the port side, and I got the boom.
Oh no.
And like I stopped. And then I look over both sides of the boat, and they're right next to me. They're swimming right next to me, and the whale was right near the rudder and right next to me. And then they played and like bumped into me. So I was stopped at that point. Wow. Then they bumped into me a couple more times, and then swam off. And then I saw him swam off, and I was just like, "You gotta be kidding me!"
You know, they probably told their orca friends over in the Strait of Gibraltar, and that's why they're attacking all those rudders over there.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
crazy, right?
Amazing that it's one single pod. Yeah. Because we're new to orcas up here, because there's tons of orcas in Southeast Alaska. We've seen a couple coming down from Mud Bay, like outside Glacier Bay. We saw orcas. We saw the whales bubble feeding. Like we saw like all in one little area was just everything was going on.
It was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's so cool. I saw some of those videos that you were posting. I'm really encouraging people listening to go check those out, because you were just surrounded by so much amazing wildlife there. Yeah, that's so cool.
The sea lions are swimming through. It's really pretty. Southeast Alaska is, I mean, absolutely beautiful and amazing. We're really happy. The days are real short right now, though.
That's what
we haven't seen the sun in about probably about 4 or 5 days.
Oh no. What are some of your like favorite anchorages there, like for people who would be interested in going up there and like picking like your top maybe 3 or 4 anchorages?
So as far as I mean, we came over from Kodiak. So in summer of 23, Summer of 23, we went Oahu to Kodiak to Seward to Prince William Sound down to Southeast Alaska. And this is where we're going to spend the winter. But like Kodiak was amazing. You are definitely on the far end of the world. Like you can definitely feel like the space. But Prince William Sound, I feel like, had the best anchorages that we've had so far, but we're only at the north side of Southeast Alaska. We anchored in Icy Strait, and had the icebergs around us, little small ones, because you know I have a fiberglass boat. I'm not going in with the big ones. We got to motor up. We got to motor the dinghy up to the glaciers. We had a beautiful Prince William Sound, Granite Bay, very calm, very nice anchorages all up here. Like
Sounds
really
amazing.
beautiful anchorages.
I think I saw that you pulled a little ice cube out of the water and used that for one of your drinks.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That that anchorage there was it
Tiger Glacier,
Tiger
yeah.
Glacier. That was one of the experiences that actually stand out to me when I think about everything we've done the last few months. It was really amazing. Although we didn't anchor right in front of it, we took the dinghy down there, and it was really pretty.
Sounds amazing.
For me up here, what also calls my attention is like Mud Bay. And Mud Bay, where did you say it was?
It's right outside Glacier Bay.
Yeah, and nothing special, but when we got there, it was like hazy. You couldn't really see much, but it was very silent, very flat, and you could hear the whales just spouting like every direction around us.
We had a whale, like we were anchored in 30 or 40 feet, and we had a full whale go around our boat.
Yeah.
Oh
like
my
that's
gosh,
in
that
front of
sounds
us.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And the birds and the seals and the otters,
the dolphins.
Have you
seen everything.
Have you seen bears from shore, like from on shore?
Oh yeah, we've seen it quite a few times actually. We saw Kodiaks.
Whoa.
Where else have we seen black bears?
Didn't we see one in Otter Bay?
We saw one in Otter Bay.
Otter Bay, I think that was one of our favorite ones.
Yeah. We saw one on the way up to Skagway, right as we were leaving. We had just pulled the anchor and we were motoring out, and then he came out of the woods to kind of check on things.
You know, I'm not gonna lie that we've stopped in so many places that everything kind of starts to blur out.
Yeah, understood.
But as I wanted to say also in Hawaii, one of my favorite anchorages is that when we first got to Hilo in the Big Island, and we were very thirsty just to jump in the water and play in the water and go swimming, because all the way along the coast of California we didn't really do that because it was cold.
Yeah.
We're warm water people.
Yeah. And
us too.
when we got to just around the corner on the northwest or southwest, we anchored in Okoe Bay. It's called OKOE in the Big Island, and that's one of, for me, that stands out because it was flat, and the dolphins were just there, like they were there every morning. It's I think they were like, it's a sand bottom, so they would come every morning and they would just hover around pretty much sleeping.
That's
but
so
they
cool.
were swimming.
Yeah.
And so we had the opportunity to jump in the water and obviously keep our distance and be respectable, but just being there with them, coming like 2-3 times a day, it was just amazing. Clear water. And for me,
that was our first like tropical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
The hook and you're like, oh man, this is, and it was back home too. It was back in Hawaii. So
for you, yeah, you're back home.
That's my favorite in the Big Island. And I was really surprised with Big Island because at first, you know, I had only seen from land. Yeah. And Big Island, sometimes, you know, the perspective I had, it was just rocky. There are not a lot of beaches there. Yeah. But it became one of my favorite islands to go cruising at.
I love that. They have, do they have the black sand beaches there from the volcano?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And you have, it looks like behind you, you have a little pet there.
Oh yeah. You can see her?
Yeah, is that Nalu? Nalu? How do you say that?
Nalu.
Yeah.
Yeah, she loves her new bed. It's gonna be 2 weeks that she's been on board. And she seems to love it. At least we think so.
She's a little wild. Yeah. She's a little wild. She's been running around. She was chewing on my hair last night, waking me up.
Yeah.
She's a pretty good she's a pretty good boat cat. She's okay with it. That's
So
cool.
far, so good.
So far, we haven't moved, so we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's one of the reasons we decided to get a cat up here is because we knew we would be, in a stable environment, and we want to get her acquainted to the inside. And then
Right.
once we start moving, it's going to be mostly flat, and then eventually,
Yeah.
get her on a heel.
Yeah.
But today we actually turned the motor on because Rob was changing the oil, and she didn't seem to bother.
Oh, good.
Because loud noises will startle her.
Right.
But so we started there.
And she gets all the fresh fish she can consume. I mean, cats love the fish, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, she's on a 20% raw diet.
Yeah, nice. But do you guys fish along the way, or do you catch your own
Yeah,
fish and do you
we're almost
any of
always
that?
fishing.
Yeah.
I'm not a spear fisherman or anything like that. We're mostly just
Gotcha.
pole trolling.
Awesome.
And then out here, we have our crab pot.
Okay.
So when we pull into a bay, we'll bait up the crab pot, drop it in the water, and then usually I'll come check on it at the end of the day or before we leave. But down by Hoona, we were pulling up big dungeons, like huge dungeons, every other pot.
That's cool.
And then we caught some halibut.
Oh, cool. I was gonna ask, what's been your favorite that you've caught?
I caught that. Well, I had that big Ono. We caught a big Ono, big wahoo,
Nice.
out in Hawaiian waters. Up here, we've caught some king salmons.
The salmons were really good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll bet. Cool.
Kings. Some small halibut we've caught. Our neighbors up here on Violet Hour, they're big time fishermen. Like they cruise to fish.
Oh, cool.
So and then they have a nice big deep freezer. We don't have a deep freezer, so we can't freeze a lot of our fish. So we got to kind of eat as we go.
I gotta ask because Jennifer is our chef and she loves to know like recipes. Do you have any like specific recipes? She's gonna want to hear that because she loves to be able to think about what she's gonna prepare on the boat. Do you have any specialties?
Well, we have some go-tos, but obviously being from Brazil, I have to say it's gonna be the rice and beans.
Of course.
It's a special rice and beans. It's not, it's simple but not so simple. So I think we have a reel that I've made before cooking the beans. But it's basically the feijoada in a simple way, which is the traditional Brazilian black bean stew. So if we had to choose one, I think we would have chosen that one.
Yeah.
And so a bed of rice with black beans, and then you can put whatever you want in it, like as far as meat. But if usually it's beef and pork. And you can choose the cuts. In Brazil, originally they go wild sometimes. Traditionally, they will put even nose, ear, and we don't do that. We keep it simple. Sometimes just sausage, but I think one of the special things for me is just sautéing really nice on very low heat. Some garlic, lots of garlic and onions, and you can choose if you want to put some bell peppers or tomatoes, and then just cooking that like 20 minutes on low heat with a lid and stirring every now and then you can add your meat and then the beans, which we cook in a pressure cooker. So we make it from scratch. It's we don't use canned beans. So in fact, before we left for our passage, we made sure we bought a 25-pound.
I think it was 50.
50.
I think we got about 45 pounds of beans on this boat right now, still remaining from the passage. We were eating Hawaii Passage food for almost like a year after the Hawaii Passage, so I'm sure we'll have Alaska Passage food for probably another year and a half.
And that's a topic that you can talk about for hours, I'm sure, which is preparing for a passage.
Yeah, like passage prep and all the
Sure.
different scenarios you have to deal with and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the beans for us, it's a go-to because you can make a big quantity and you put it on a big Tupperware, you put it in the fridge, you can eat for 2-3 days.
Right
It's
on.
easy and fills you up, and that's our
Yeah.
go-to.
Yeah.
And what do you pair it with? What are your drinks that you go to? What are your sundowner drinks or your pairings with the rice and beans?
You have to be the caipirinha.
Yeah, the British.
Ah, there you go, of course.
Not British.
I was thinking of gin and tonics. We had a gin and tonic last night. I haven't had a gin and tonic in a while, and I was like,
Well,
ah.
But
I just had my gin and tonic before we started.
a warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the caipirinha, I taught Rob how to make it, and
Nice.
not to make it a Brazilian dinner here, but we really like it. He really likes it, and the trick is make it sweet and strong.
Yeah, I love those. Those are one of my go-tos as well. I love those. That's fantastic. Just curious, how long did it take you to do the passage from Hawaii to Alaska? Did you go straight Oahu to you said
We did.
Yeah.
So we did that took us 17 days again, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
16, 17 days.
Mhm.
We had crew on that one. We brought friends with us.
Oh, cool.
The Tradewind California to Hawaii passage is, I wouldn't call it an easy passage, but it's one of the easiest long downwind passages you can do.
Oh, wow.
The Oahu to Alaska was much more complicated. We spent about 3, 4, 5 days in the trades, just on a port beam reach, making 8.5, 9 knots. We were hauling for about 4.5, 5 days. Then you hit the high, the wind dies. You got a motor. I think we motored for about 30 hours. Then you're in the westerlies, and then you're dealing with low pressure systems coming through. The low pressure hits you. You work through that low pressure. The wind dies down. Next low pressure comes through. So it's a much more complicated sail, and it's cold.
Yeah.
Like so we don't have a forced air diesel heater. We have before we left Hawaii, we installed a reflex stove. So that's a diesel drip. We can't really use that under sail. So on the way up here, we were just cold.
Wow.
I think it was like,
let me tell you, it was cold.
It was cold and it was wet.
Oh,
like
man.
4 people sleeping on the boat. 50, I think it was about 52 in the cabin. So like,
oh no, all huddled. You should have all huddled together in the same cabin. Body warmth.
Her and I sleep in the back cabin, and then our other friend slept in the other aft cabin, and then we had one buddy sleeping in the salon area, and if it was nice enough, he'd sleep up in the forward berth. But yeah, we had about 52 degrees, 99% humidity, like we were wiping the floors. It just all that, everybody's breathing and all that extra humidity downstairs. And that was about a week. That was about a week long.
And what time of year is the right time of year to do that? I'm assuming there's certain times of year that you do that.
Summertime. Once the North Pacific High really establishes itself which is like June, July, that North Pacific High will establish itself, and it will really kind of grow as the heat of the water grows, and it will push the westerlies a little further up north.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to deal with the westerlies as much. Like right now, the Gulf of Alaska, we just got storm after gale after storm after gale rolling through. Yeah. I think we had 70-mile-an-hour winds out in the Gulf of Alaska, but Juneau, we're 65 miles inland in the channel, so we're really well protected in here.
And what's the right time of year to go from San Francisco or from the West Coast to Hawaii? Same thing, summertime?
Summertime before hurricane season.
When's the hurricane season?
So hurricane season is it June, July, end of June to November 30th, I want to say, is the North Pacific.
Okay, so it's pretty similar pretty similar season to the Caribbean then, about the same time of year then.
Yeah, because it's the same northern hemisphere hurricane season.
Gotcha.
So in fact, when we were getting ready to leave in Oahu, we had met 2 or 3 couples from friends that had been cruising, are still cruising, and everybody was kind of like talking to each other, seeing when they were gonna go, and all of them left on, I think, the first week of June.
Yeah,
and,
like 2 weeks before us.
yeah, and they had all of them had an amazing passage.
Beautiful passage.
Of course.
Oh, they were like, we were bored. It was warm.
And ours was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I think the highest, I think we saw about 35 knots.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, we had about 35 knots. We have so we have 100% working jib, and we run a full batten main, and we have 4 reef points on the main. I think we got down to the 3rd reef. We never got down to the 4th reef. Wow. But we got down to the 3rd reef. 35. We dealt with about 3 like low level gale force winds.
That's intense.
And then it was cold. We saw albatross.
Oh, cool.
It's lonely up there. It's lonely up in the North Pacific, and it's cold and gray, and the water turns from blue to like this greenish color, and it gets chilly.
Let me ask about for those of us that need advice, like what did you use for sail passage planning? Like, did you use like Predict Wind? Did you use Windy? Did you have like any kind of software that you recommend?
So we run Predict Wind. We've been running Predict Wind for about 3 years. Offshore passage making, we do the Iridium Go.
Okay.
And we're kind of, that's actually a discussion we're having between like Starlink and Iridium, and which way should you go, and connectivity and sat phone. You know, you can get lost in the weeds with all this stuff. But our Iridium Go plan was the unlimited, which is $156 a month. But you get unlimited text and you get unlimited data to download your Predict Wind via the offshore app. So we do that on our own. For the Alaska passage, I actually hired a weather router, because this was, you know, like I said, trade wind sailing is relatively forgiving. You know, like especially downwind trade wind sailing, like you run into a mishap, you're eventually gonna get blown towards your destination.
Right.
Up in the westerlies, you can have more problems. So we hired a router, and he would email us every day, giving us his recommendation, which is very much in line with Predict Wind. He did at one point, you know, kind of where the rubber meets the road is about like 5 or 6 days out from Kodiak, he had us turn east because a low was blowing through, and he was like, you turn east, head on this longitude. I can't remember what the longitude was, to avoid the worst of the low. Oh, wow. So that's kind of where, you know, like we still saw 30 something knots. We still had an accidental jibe that night. Ripped off a solar panel, ripped off on the helm station. That was our last night. We were like 70 miles out from Kodiak. We were all tired. And she just wasn't cooperating. The problem was we were going too fast. And we were already down to the 3rd reef, and we were making too much northern progress to be able to turn west towards Kodiak. But that was kind of where the weather router came in. So typically Predict Wind, Iridium Go. We're discussing on whether or not we want to jump on the Starlink bandwagon. You know, it's got a little upfront cost, but it's also like $150 a month, I believe. Yeah. And then you get internet, and you can still use Predict Wind via the internet.
Right.
So you're getting all the things, but you're not getting the like GPS tracking. You know, we have the little Predict Wind tracking thing and stuff like that. But
sure. So how does one find a route planner? How did you find the person to help you? Where do you go to for something like that?
So we friends of ours that we met once again via the glorious internet, P2
Have you heard of them?
they-
Sailing P2?
They got a pretty big Instagram.
Oh no,
Sailing.
yeah, Sailing P2. I love Sailing P2. Yes, I
Yeah.
know them. I was
So
just
we
telling
met
Jennifer,
up-
I was like, you gotta look at these people are awesome. Everything they post is like amazing.
Yeah.
We ran up across them in Hawaii, and
We met them.
we met them and hung out with them, and they used the same weather router when they came from Panama to Hawaii.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's
Okay.
I guess I call it a meteorologist. That's
Yeah,
what
it's a
it,
meteorologist.
yeah, and he's actually in Australia.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is his. So we paid $500. We paid 500 US or Australian.
US. I think.
It was about 500 US for the passage from Oahu to Alaska.
Oh wow.
And he would email us every day, and he'd keep track of us and said, okay, this is what's coming and things like that. It's very comforting to have,
Yeah, I can see that.
somebody else to tell you what you might anticipate.
For
So.
sure. That's
It
a nice sense of security.
It wasn't extremely necessary, but since we had met them and they had done the passage the year before, and they mentioned they had it, and this was going to be something new for us, we thought it would be worth it, and it was worth it.
Peace of mind is worth it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's something that new people would definitely be interested in for sure. And then even experienced people, you guys have a lot of experience, and I think just that peace of mind is probably worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's good to know. That's a great tip to remind us of in the future. Thank you for that. Pretty cool. So what do you, I think I heard you guys are doing like odd jobs once in a while, like you're trying to pick up work here or there. Like, what do you do for this lifestyle to be able to do this lifestyle? I think a lot of us, we're just trying to figure out how to unplug from the real world and get out there. And we're so inspired by folks like you. So like, what do we talk about? Like, what kind of jobs are you guys doing? Or what are you guys like, how you funding this experience? If you don't mind me asking.
No. Yeah. We have no problem with it. We are not working right now. We could work right now. If we wanted to, we could go pick up, like, we're not professionals by any means. We don't have a skill set that we can like get onto a computer and make money, or like our friends next door, he does programming, so he's working from his boat via Starlink, and he's doing all that. We went back to Oahu, and when we went back to Oahu, we both picked up extra jobs.
Gotcha.
AG was working at North Face, which was awesome.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
had a 50% discount, and as you can tell, we needed some cold weather stuff to come up to Alaska. I was painting houses with a friend of mine. He owns a painting company, and I was painting houses with him, and we did that for close to 2 years. While we had to pay for a new mainsail. AG sewed all the canvas on the boat. She sewed the Dodger, the panels, the bimini, the sail, the stack pack, the forward bimini. She did all the sewing, all the cushions, everything.
Awesome.
We had to pay for all that. We had to install a reflex stove. We had to install a heater for Alaska. So all those like big extra expenses, we were just working down. And then mostly what we do is we live off my retirement and savings.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So,
from the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
I'm lucky that I get a stipend every month. It's not a whole heck of a lot of money, but it's enough that we live on a budget. Like we're not going out to eat dinner. Like we go on like two times a month to go eat dinner, but mostly we're just kind of living. Like we love to say like it's a big party all the time, but sometimes you're just trying to maintain the budget because we have expenses coming up,
Sure.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting because you hear from many people, oh, you're so lucky, or what a lifestyle. And indeed we are lucky, but also not. Like, we chose this and we worked hard for this, but we have given up so many things to have this, to be on the boat and not be working every day, the 5 to 8, or the 8 to 5. And so we decided to leave a very simple life in order to be here and be able to afford this.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
it is
I just
getting
sat
more expensive.
I just sat in traffic for an hour on my way home from work. So believe me, the
Yeah.
fantasy that you are living is real for me. I want to be there too someday, and we hope to get there someday. And you know, you think about like your meals are coming from, you know, right outside your door and you're fishing, right? So that's a good
Yeah.
place to like cut down
Yeah.
on the budget for sure. And then, you know, just wherever you can shave off. But the skill set that you're building up, though, when you say that you were sewing so many things, I imagine there's a lot of the local community around you that probably needs that kind of work done too. So that's always something that can be done. But you guys have so many skills that you've built up in just doing this lifestyle. I mean, from everything that you're doing with the boat and maintaining it and learning how to fix and all the systems you have to know. I mean, you have a heck of a skill set there, so that's really cool. But that's so great that you guys are doing what you're doing. I'm so inspired by you guys. This is great. Love it.
No, we're really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So it motivates us to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to the warm weather again.
Yeah, so your next trips, you're gonna stay there for the winter right here, and then where are you headed next? You're heading down the coast. Do you have like a plan further out?
Yeah, we've been kind of talking about it back and forth, but we're looking at leaving April time frame, when the snow stops falling and the rain hopefully stops falling. So May, we might do a haul out before we go south. Huna, right over to the west, closer to the Gulf, they have a nice travel lift and they got a good space and it's a decent price. We might do a quick haul out. And then we're gonna head south. We're gonna head through the Inside Passage. We're gonna hit Petersburg and Ketchikan around summertime, like midsummer, June, July, somewhere around there. Make our way into BC. We get 3 months, 90 days in BC, so we're kind of gonna goof around there. Make our way down to like the Seattle area. We're gonna install a hydro vane.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we've decided that we need to do a wind vane, some type of wind steering system. We've lost autopilot, and when you lose autopilot and you're double handing, it makes it not fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's not fun to fall asleep at the wheel and realize you got another 4 hours left, and you just got to wake up because you have to hand steer. Because if you fall asleep, you're gonna jibe.
Yeah,
So
a lot of
we
coffee.
lost autopilot. We've lost autopilot on the way. The last 24 hours on our passage to Alaska, we lost our autopilot. Water got in there, shorted it out. We were able to chase the wires down, get our autopilot back. We lost autopilot coming from Prince William Sound the last like 12 hours when it was just her and I. And we ended up hand steering the last like 12, 14, 15 hours, something like that. And then we haven't had any autopilot the whole time we've been in the Inside Passage.
Hmm.
We're going to replace the autopilot, and then we're also going to get a wind vane. I've been talking to Hydro Vane, what the setup cost is and things, and we're going to install it before we head down the West Coast.
Awesome. That's cool.
Because we're going to need it crossing the Pacific. So
Gotcha.
we're going to head down to Mexico and then Panama, and then from there, probably go around.
We have a friend in town. Her husband passed away a few years ago, and they were cruisers. We didn't even realize this. They were living across the street from us for all these years, and we finally found this out. And she called me up the other day, and she said, "I've moved since then." And she said, "Hey, you're a sailor, right?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I like to think I am, but I wish I could sail more." She's like, "I've got 2 wind vanes for sale." And I thought maybe I wasn't hearing her right. I was like, wind vanes? I mean, not the thing at the top of the mast. You're talking like
the wind decks.
Yeah, no. But she said, no, I got wind vanes. I was like, so what kind are they? She said they're monitor wind vanes, and she's selling one of them for 4,500 and one of them for 2,500. And I was wondering, I was like, is this a good deal? That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, the hydro vane setup that I'm looking at is like $7,500.
Oh, dang.
But here's the thing. There's a huge but, and this is what I've learned is you can't spend money when you're out there.
Yeah,
like that extra piece of line or that extra block or that extra something when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you'd be like, I'd spend 3 times the amount if I could make
right. Good point.
And the steering is a huge one, especially us being double-handed.
Sure.
But why is our setup price that much? Because it's
Well,
made-
hydrovans. I mean,
yeah.
hydrovans are kind of they're the bee's knees now. Like
Yeah.
of the self-steering systems.
That's what it sounds like.
But they're just really well robust build.
But is it made for the Beneteau setup?
Well, it's made. You can customize it for any setup.
Right.
You can customize it for any boat, like
So
the different arms and things like that.
So that's what we would be doing.
Yeah.
Customizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good to
So
know.
I guess that price sounds pretty nice. It's just you would have to see if it fits.
That's the
your
big one.
setup.
Whether or not
That's
you
what
can
I'm wondering about. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what boat we're going to have in the future. Right now, we have our little sailboat on Lake Hartwell, and it's a 25.5-foot Hunter.
Yeah.
It's just for us to dork around on.
Yeah. Fun boat.
What we do, yeah, it's really fun. What we do is we charter right now. We've been building up experience. I got into it in 2016. I got my first three, certifications so that I could charter. Then I went and got my captain's license, but it's only for lakes and rivers, so I can't really go offshore technically, but we go offshore just, on our own, but now I can't bring anybody, and paying customers or anything like that. Which, I did the captain's license more for just my own experience. I wanted to get that and have that in my back pocket in case in the future we go down that road. But so like right now we don't know what boat we're gonna have, and so that's part of like why we're doing a lot of these podcasts is that we want to meet as many people as possible. We want to hear from what can we glean from their experience, and I think a lot of people like to listen to these podcasts for that too. For years I listened to podcasts just driving back and forth to work. I have an hour to work, an hour from work, and listening to people like you is just awesome. It's so inspirational. It's like giving me all these different tips and notes and things that I'm building up this giant spreadsheet of all these things that I want to make sure that I know and remember and take with me and share with people in the future too, to pay it forward. So, I really appreciate you guys sharing all this information with us, and, the tips that you've been giving me. I'm gonna have to go back through this one and listen again and write down all the things that I'm hearing from y'all about what to do and where to do it and how to do it. So thank you so much for that.
I can tell you the biggest takeaway that I've learned in cruising in the past 2.5, 3 years is you'll figure it out. Like you'll figure whatever the problem is, you'll figure it out because you have no choice. No one's going to solve the problem for you. You're going to have to solve it for yourself, and get in the books, get online. There's YouTube, that self-reliancy, I guess. And it's scary sometimes. Like when you're in charge and you're it. Like you're the answer, you're the tell-all. This is your boat. You're the captain. You're responsible for the safety of everybody on board. You're responsible for getting the ship safely back into port.
Exactly.
But you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll make mistakes along the way. Hopefully you don't break anything too expensive and nobody gets hurt, but you'll figure it all out as you get going.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much for having this time with me and sharing your story with everyone. You guys are inspirational. I really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you.
We kind of just run our Instagram page now, Sailing Eva, all one word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we tried YouTube, man, but we're not built for it. We did YouTube videos all the way up to Hawaii, I think. And then we were just like, man, I don't want to record this. Nobody cares about this junk.
No, you guys should. You guys have great energy. You should be on YouTube. Keep doing it. It's an inspiration for all of us.
Maybe we're just not good editors. Maybe that's what it is.
It does take a lot of time. That's for sure.
It does take a lot of time.
We'll see. We'll see. Especially now that we're not doing anything. There's nothing to record, really.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say it's Sailing Eva, but it's spelled IWA.
Yeah.
That's right.
A lot of people will read it Iowa. But it's Eva. It's the great frigate bird, and that's that name is Hawaiian.
Oh, cool! I love that.
Beautiful birds. Beautiful birds in Hawaii.
That's so beautiful. Cool.
That's where we're at. We're on there all the time.
That's where I found you. I appreciate it very much, and I know we'll run into you someday. I can't wait to catch up with you again. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it.
It's going to be fun following you along. I'm eager to see it.
Thank you for inviting us.
So much. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, talking with Rob and AG from Sailing Iwa. Please check them out. They're all over Instagram, Sailing IWA, and you can check us out on sailingpb.com. That's Sailing Prima BarcaVela. And you can see us on Instagram on SV_Prima B on Instagram. I encourage you to check us out there. We'll be on YouTube as well. And please subscribe, like, and support us. We're also on Patreon. So if you want to see and hear more stuff like this, please help us out and keep us going. Thank you.